Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this webinar today. My name is Chris Jones. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager here at ASK BOSCO. I've been in the digital sector for 12 years, helping businesses of all shapes and sizes perform better online. Please familiarize yourself with the chat functionality. Any questions that you've got throughout the webinar today, just put them in the chat and we'll answer those at the end. And if there's any that we can't get around to, we'll follow up with you afterwards. We'll just give it 1 minute to allow people to join and then we'll get going. All right, well, let's kick off. So the agenda for today, I'm going to take you through a platform webinar of platform walkthrough of Ask Bosco. Before I do that, I thought it would be good to just give a couple of minutes on telling you why we built Ask Bosco in the first place. So what are the problems that we actually solve? What are some of the value points that you can realize by using Ask Bosco? And then we can jump into a live demo. So the what we see in the industry is that agencies and brands are absolutely swamped with data. There's data all around them, and they find it difficult to connect all of that data, difficult to consolidate that data, difficult to visualize that data, and importantly, to draw insight from and take action from that data. We know that there's high levels of distrust with companies' data. And we also know that there's a level of distrust with the major platforms. So a very typical story that we hear is if you've got extra marketing budget to spend and you go to a Google rep and say, where should I spend my budget? They're going to tell you to spend with Google. If you've got more budget and say to your Meta rep, where should we spend more budget? They're going to tell you to spend with Meta. And you're not going to get that agnostic view of where you should spend your budget for the highest return and the best result for you as a client. Um, we know that there's an ever increasing cost to advertise, and so it's become more important than ever to know where to spend your budget and make the best decisions possible across channels and campaigns. And ultimately, it makes it really difficult to plan and forecast performance for the future. And from an agency perspective, we understand that there's more pressure than ever to deliver more value to your clients in the same time period. And so any ways to automate manual processes, whether that's reporting, budget planning and forecasting, is really important so that you can focus on doing more value-added activities for your clients. So we built Ask Bosco to help agencies and brands engage with data that they can trust to provide an agnostic and clear view of not just how you're performing currently from a digital performance perspective, but also how you can make decisions for the future and improve your performance for the future. So with Ask Bosco, you can improve your team's efficiency and accuracy. And in some cases, we're saving days every month for our clients, whether they're brands or agencies. And ultimately, the question we're trying to answer with the Ask Bosco solution is where do I spend my next digital marketing pound for the highest return for our business? So what I'm going to do now is share my screen and talk you through the platform. So how do we answer that question of where to spend the next marketing pound for the highest return? So we do that by uh, providing 4 key areas of functionality. So the first of these, which is really important, is connecting up all of your data. So we connect up all of your data into the Ask Bosco platform, whether that's marketing data, e-com data, analytics, and so on. Once we have that data in the platform, we'll do all the configuration on our end to make sure that's coming through in a nice, clear, and concise format in the dashboard. And then we use that data to power 3 key areas of front-end functionality. So fully customizable AI reporting, competitive benchmarking, and budget planning and forecasting. And ultimately, by using these areas of functionality, you get the insights that you need to make better and faster, more effective decisions. And ultimately, this leads to higher revenue, more revenue and more leads. So what you're looking at now is the data connections page. Now, this is the one of the most important bits about the Ask Bosco platform is getting all your data into the platform. So to do that, we have over 400 connectors that range from everything from e-commerce platforms such as Shopify to your ad platforms such as Google and Meta, all the way through to analytics like Google Analytics and other platforms such as cloud, CRM, and productivity. So as you can see, we've got a huge range of different data connections here, and we're always adding to these connectors based on what we're seeing in the market and what we might need to add in the future. If you take anything away from this page, it's that you don't need to be a technical whiz in order to connect up your data. There's no coding required. There's no tagging required. All you do is go through this onboarding form. And then once we've got access to your accounts, we can then start pulling that data through into the Ask Bosco platform. And as I mentioned, we do all the configuration of your data to pull through. Now, what we'll do here and what you're looking at here is the Ask Bosco dashboard. And we'll go through 3 sections today. We've got the reporting, competitor benchmarking, and budget planner, which also includes the forecasting solution. Within reporting, we've got 3 sections: My Reports, Ask Bosco AI, and Report Builder. So we'll go through all of those now. So within the Ask Bosco reporting, we have got over 70 pre-built and templated dashboards, and they range from everything from agency-specific reports. So if you're an agency working on behalf of clients and you need to see all of your client data in one place, we've got a set of dashboards for that. You might want to be comparing things like how your PPC is performing against your SEO and finding out areas where you might be able to pull back PPC spend because you're ranking highly on SEO. E-commerce reports such as Shopify, paid social, paid search, affiliates, SEO, website performance, and so on. So the key point here is that whilst we've got over 70 pre-built dashboards that are really, really helpful and easy to use that you can use from day one when using the Ask Bosco platform, you're not limited to that. So you can build your own reports and dashboards. You can copy these dashboards and edit them. And yeah, you can build your own reports and dashboards from scratch. And I'll show you a few examples of how that's done. For now, we'll jump into the website performance overview, and I'll run through how the reporting in Ask Bosco works. So from the very top, you will see all the different ways in which you can slice and dice your data. So you've got your data parameters such as things like channels. So if you wanted to look at just your organic versus your paid traffic, you might want to select a particular channel such as direct or display. You might want to change your conversion source. And typically we're pulling conversions through from Google Analytics, but we can also pull through directly from the ad platform. Or if you're using a custom attribution model, we can pull that custom attribution model into the Ask Bosco platform and use that as the conversion source. You'll see some tabs, which are all different dashboards that all pertain to the main headline of website performance. And we'll go through those in a second. But as we move down the report, you will see kind of headline metrics at the top, such as traffic, conversions, revenue, conversion rate, and so on. We've got a visualization graph here of revenue versus conversion rate. And as we move further down, you will see more granular day-by-day detail on your website performance. Now, as we move further down, you'll see trending data and last month comparison and performance comparisons. Now, all of the data points that you see on the page here are interactable. So if we take this revenue versus conversion rate graph, we can start to interrogate the data in real time. So typically what would have been a manual process of potentially asking a data analyst for help with digging further into the data, you can simply right click and drill down, and you can drill into this data by a number of different attributes. So let's say we wanted to look at what channels caused this spike in conversion rate. We can drill down by channel source, and we can see that email was a strong performer here with a really high conversion rate. From here, you might want to drill down further. You might want to see the underlying data. But for now, let's go back. Another really useful feature within the interrogation kind of features within Ask Bosco is being able to understand why something happened. So you can select a couple of points within this graph, for example, this drop in conversion rate, and ask why that happened. And to do that, we would run a change analysis. Now, the Ask Bosco AI is going to generate a change analysis completely automatically. And again, this is something which would typically be a manual process. And it will tell you what was the cause of this drop in conversion rate. In this case, it was email, which had a change of minus 3.42%, but it also highlights other channels which had a drop as well. And this will just highlight areas in which you might want to focus and make changes. At the bottom there, you'll see some more insights into some more automatically generated commentary that you might be able to use in conversations within the business. Another thing I'll point you towards is the AI highlights. And in the same vein as the change analysis, we can run an AI highlight summary across the data on this page. What Ask Bosco will do here is provide a running commentary of the biggest changes of data on this page. And once that's ready, you can click in and it will give you a list of sections where you can start to look into the biggest kind of movers, biggest changes in this page. So for example, last month cost, we can look into that and understand what was going on in this increase in cost. Now, again, this is completely automatically generated and is really useful for speeding up that commentary process. And you can use this in meetings, in reports, in presentations. And you'll notice this is this useful button. This is an element of Ask Bosco which helps continually improve the solution. So you can continuously feed back into the platform. And if the information for whatever reason wasn't useful, you can feed that back, and that will help the algorithm become better over time. Now, any of these data points, you have a few options on what you can do with them. You can pin these to your own dashboard, and I'll show you an example of that shortly. You can look at the underlying data, you can download this, you can present it. You can also copy the link and share that with colleagues within the business. If we look through some of the tabs here, we'll look at marketing channel. So this is a really useful report for highlighting successes within your cross-channel performance. So again, we're looking at all the different channels here across paid and organic. We can see that email had a really strong performance. We can start to see traffic by channel type, revenue by channel type, and so on. And again, you'll get that more granular breakdown as you move through the report. If we go into marketing spend, this is a really useful report for understanding where your marketing costs are going. And we can see here that Google Ads is our biggest contributor to cost. And this helps you keep an eye on how much you're spending in terms of marketing budget. And for example, again, you could drill into the data on what caused this big spike in cost towards the 25th of November. Platform discrepancy is a really useful report as well to look at the different ways in which platforms report on performance. And so there'll always be a bit of discrepancy between platforms, and this helps you keep an eye on that and make more sense of it. So for example, we might be looking at the difference between how Google Ads and Google Analytics reports, the way that Google Ads versus Google Analytics reports, and also Meta versus Google Analytics. And this helps you keep on top of those discrepancies. If there are any kind of anomalous looking changes in the data, this will help you flag that potentially to look into and interrogate further. Now, we've looked at a few different reports, and what you could also do if, for example, you're sitting in the C-suite and you don't have time to be digging around in all of the data in the reports, we also have capabilities to simply ask Bosco a question on the data. Now, we built this in order to bring up that kind of consumer app experience and really democratize data for anybody in a business. So you don't need to be a data engineer. You can simply ask Bosco a question such as, what were my top performing channels last month? Ask Bosco will go away, look at the data, and come back with a response and present that in a visualization. So from here, you might decide that you want to see that visualization in a different way. For example, we can change that to a column. And from here, you can then decide to pin this to a dashboard. So this might be a really useful and important piece of information for somebody in the business, and you might want to pin that to your own board. In this case, we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll show you what that looks like in a personalized report. So you can build your own dashboards from scratch. And again, you've got all the same kind of options in terms of AI highlights. And you can go through and you can place logos, images. We have people putting Loom videos explaining the reports or commentary on the reports, checklists, notes from last meeting, actions for the next meeting, and then all those most important metrics that you might want to pin into that dashboard. So you can drag and drop the boxes around, you can resize, and it's very flexible, super easy to use. As we move through that report, we can see that we've got headline KPIs that we've pinned. We've pinned some links to our current budget plan, which I'll show you in a second. We're pulling in e-commerce data, so we're looking at where a nice visual map of where our sales are coming from all around the globe. We can pull through things like email performance data and that kind of thing. But this is essentially all the most important metrics to you that you've pinned. And we can see that last chart that we just pinned is down the bottom here. We could resize that. We could move that higher up if we wanted to. And from there, you can save. Now, this is used in many different ways. Agency folk will use this for particular clients that keep getting asked the same questions, or if you're a marketing manager, you might, within a brand, you might want to answer a certain set of questions that senior leadership keep asking you, and you can have all of that information here. For anybody that's wants to be more hands-on with the data, there's also the report builder. So you've got access to all of the data here, and you might, for example, want to look at GA revenue versus cost versus over time, and then hit go, and you'll get a visualization built at the top there once it comes through. And then again, you've got the option to pin that to a dashboard, change the visualization, and so on. So there's lots of different ways, and we cater for different kind of personas within a business, whether you want to be more hands-on with the data or whether you just want to ask a question and get an instant answer back. So that is the reporting. We'll move now on to the competitor benchmarking. And we built the competitor benchmarking solution to basically help brands or help agencies give their brands a better level of understanding and context into how that company is performing in the wider context of the market against their competition. So we're pulling through data from 7 or 8 different independent data sources, all focused on your online discoverability. And we're aggregating that data and building an index score as a single number, which is an average of 4 subscores. So the number goes from 0 to 1,000. If you are doing 0 to 400, there's plenty of work to do. 400 to 600 means you're doing well. And 600 and above, you're absolutely smashing it. So we can see here a total score of 506. We're doing well in paid search, really well in SEO, well in other marketing, but website health could use some attention. So we can jump into that, and then we'll be brought into insights on website performance and website health across time against our competitors. So we can see how we've trended over time and which competitors we might need to take a look at. For example, this one at the top here. The competitors on the right-hand side are automatically pulled in, but you can also manually add competitors. If, for example, you want to keep an eye on an up-and-coming competitor, or you're an agency and your clients asked you to keep an eye on a certain competitor for you, you can easily edit that there. And then as we move down, you'll get further insight into how your website is comparing against your best competitor, against your worst competitor, in various areas, such as how performant is your website, how quickly does it load, how accessible is it, does it follow best practices, and what is the SEO score of that site. Again, you'll get more insights based on site speed, on desktop versus mobile, in this case for website health. And that's a very quick view of the competitor benchmarking feature. And that essentially just gives you that wider context of, if you've had a great month, has that been in isolation, or has the whole market had a good month? If you've had a bad month, do you need to panic, or has the whole market had a bad month? So it gives you that extra level of context within the market. So we'll finish off on the budget planner. So what we've looked at so far is the reporting and the competitive benchmarking, and that gives you a great indication of what's happening, gives you a great way to interrogate the data and get instant answers on questions. But the budget planner and forecasting solution gives you that so what answer. So how do we improve our future performance? So to make a budget plan and a forecast, you simply hit the new budget plan, give it a name. Once you've done that, we can build a budget plan and forecast for as little as a couple of days, all the way up to 12 months in advance. If we select 3 months, we then decide what is the overarching commercial optimization goal of that budget plan. Is it maximum revenue? Are we going for maximum conversions? Is there a target ROAS that we need to hit? Is there a cost of sale that we need to consider? If we leave it at maximum revenue for now, we then decide which channels we'd like to include in that budget plan. So all of your paid channels will appear in the left-hand side here. And we might decide that we want to exclude Microsoft ads from this budget plan. We might want to say Meta, we don't want that to be focused on revenue. We'd like that to be focused rather on impressions. And we want that to hit a minimum of this many impressions. It might be for Google Ads that we would like to exclude a particular campaign or any campaign with the phrase test in it. By default, we exclude brand campaigns from the budget plans. Then we hit next. And what you'll then be prompted to do is input a budget, and Ask Bosco will recommend a budget range. So interestingly here, you can run multiple scenarios based on different budgets and compare those side by side to see what you could stand to gain. And this is based on your previous 2 years' performance and historical data. So if we hit save, the budget plan will take about 10 to 15 seconds to generate. And once that has generated, you'll be presented with this page. Now, what this page will summarize is the time period of that budget plan. It will show you your inputs, such as your budget, your optimization goal, the channels you included. And then it will show you how much of that budget it was able to optimize and how much of that budget was not optimized but forecasted. And it will show you how much revenue was optimized. On the right-hand side, you will see the split of where we recommend you spread that budget to achieve the overall revenue goal. From there, you'll get the channel by channel level instructions on where you should push and pull your budget to achieve the results. So the black line is the current budget, and the purple line is the recommended budget. So for TikTok, Ask Bosco is recommending that we pull back budget slightly. For Google Ads, we're recommending that you push. For PMAX, we're recommending that you push. For Pinterest, we're recommending that you pull. And although on the channels where we pull, we'll lose a bit of revenue, by making these optimizations, there will be an extra £8,500 net gain for the same amount of budget. From there, it's then a case of getting the campaign by campaign level instructions on how to set your daily budgets for those particular campaigns in order to hit that goal. So you can also download your budget plan in Excel. We know that people still love to work with Excel, and you can do that here. And of course, as I mentioned, you can compare multiple budget plans side by side to look at different scenarios for different periods or for different budget amounts. So that brings me to the end of the walkthrough of Ask Bosco. I hope that was useful for you, and I hope you came away thinking that Ask Bosco is the marketing AI platform that can help you make faster, better decisions and help you predict where to spend your next digital marketing pound. The easiest way to test the Ask Bosco platform is to connect up your data. So if you want to give me a shout and do that, my email address is chris@askbosco.com, and I'll be happy to help you do that, but it is very simple to do. And for now, we'll just look and see in the next couple of minutes if we've got any questions coming through. So we've got one or two questions in the chat. So firstly, we've got, how customizable are the AI reports for different people in the business, like stakeholders, executives, and operational teams? So hopefully you saw in the different ways that we could create dashboards and reports that you've got the full range of flexibility. You've got fully templated, and we've provided those 70 plus dashboards for you to just go in and access straight away. You can copy and edit those dashboards. You can build dashboards and personalized dashboards from asking a question and just pinning those answers. And then if you're more hands-on, you can start to work with that data. So typically what we see is that senior executives within a business like to just ask a question and then pin that to their own dashboard and just have some really key metrics on a single dashboard. And then we have other team members in the business that are getting more involved in the day-to-day, that are really hands-on with the data, building their own reports from scratch and building multiple dashboards and multiple tabs. So you've got total flexibility from that perspective. We've got another question here, which is, what are the most common questions or challenges users bring up during onboarding? I would say the two that spring to mind here would be that customers are often concerned that they've got tons of different data sources that they think it might be a challenge to connect up, and this is just not an issue at all. So you simply go through that onboarding process, um, you select which channels and platforms you'd like to connect up, and our onboarding team will handle the rest. We'll do all the configuration, the formatting to ensure that all that data gets pulled through and presented in the front end of ASK BOSCO in a clear, concise way that you can easily understand. And the other thing that I would mention is that people sometimes look at the kind of power and the flexibility of ASK BOSCO and say, how do we get the best out of it? There's so much you can do with it. How do we get the best out of it? And it's a really good question, because during the onboarding process, we'll run multiple training sessions to help you get the absolute best out of it. So by collecting, if you're a particular persona in a business and you've got a particular set of use cases, we'll help you understand how to achieve those use cases. If you're a senior executive in the business and you just want to understand how to use the search functionality, we can train you on that. So there's a whole bunch of training that we do during the onboarding process, and we can make sure that you're fully up to speed by the time that you're live and you can get the absolute best value from the platform. We've got a couple more. So how does the platform stay updated with changing industry trends and data regulations? There's a couple of points here. I would say that first of all, the data that you put in, connect up into ASK BOSCO is completely ring fenced to you as a business. So that's not shared across any kind of open AI models or anywhere else. So we're fully compliant from that perspective. But also, both our digital agency team and our tech team are constantly watching the industry for regulatory updates and any changes in the market that we need to keep up with, and we act accordingly. So we keep a very close eye on that, and we keep up to date with that. And I believe that is the end of the questions. So again, my email address is chris@askbosco. If you'd like to get in touch with any further questions or you'd like any advice on connecting up your data and having a look at ASK BOSCO with real life data, just give me a shout and I'll be more than happy to help. So other than that, I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and a happy new year. And here's to a great 2025.